All right. Hey, welcome to day 12 of the AI prompt challenge for remodelers. Let's get at it. We've had an interesting day here where I am, man. It's been hot, muggy, sunny. Then we've had thunder, lightning, pouring down rain. You get a little bit of everything on the East Coast, much like running a remodeling business. All right, guys, let's jump into this challenge today. And here's what we got. So again, we are on day 12 of the 30-day AI prompt challenge for remodelers. And we're talking right now about employees and growing your team. All right, so here's what we got to work at. We need to look at streamlining the hiring process, right? I remember when I first hired my first few guys, they were convenience hires. It was somebody in the neighborhood, somebody that I knew that was looking for a job. It wasn't a big stretch, right? They weren't asking for a lot of money. They couldn't do a ton of stuff. So it worked out. Now, as I wanted to grow the business, I needed people that could handle more responsibility. So I had to up my game. I had to find people that could handle responsibility. And that's going to cost you more of an investment, or it should. You'd want to be paying top dollar to get the right people in there. So here's what we're going to do. We want to talk to this person, right? And we want to make sure that who we're hiring is going to be a really good fit for the position. And one struggle a lot of remodelers and contractors make is they want to hire people just like them. They're like, I just need some hard workers. I need guys that do this and that. And yes, you want hard work, but you don't want to hire clones of yourself. And often, if you do, it ends up they don't work out because they end up wanting to go do their own thing, just like you wanted to do your own thing. You need to find a good supportive cast. All right. So, what we want to do is talk to AI, and let me give you a little insight for just a second here. So, there's a lot to think about when you're trying to hire employees, because if you haven't done it before, you don't even know what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, what to look for, and what not to look for. So get down into day 12. Give me a second. And I need to share my screen with you guys. Got too many tabs on this. So let's do that. Okay. So we want to tell this AI prompt to act as a expert, right, in the construction and remodeling industry. Let them know that you're preparing to interview candidates for the lead carpenter role in your remodeling company, and you want to generate some structured, insightful interview process, right? It's going to include, and let me do this. Let me switch over to here, right? So you're going to want to. All right. So we're going to want to include two to three optional mini assessment tasks, skill sets, right? And these are things that you can have them so they can interpret and you can see how they critically think. That's always a good thing because different people think different ways, come up with different conclusions. You want to add maybe a little personality fit question in there or two. You want to find out their willingness to follow company systems. You don't want the young gun who's going to do everything the way they want to do it. You want someone who can follow a system and works well within a system because the system is your company. All right. Lastly, you want to ask it to help you evaluate whether this person is going to be a good long-term fit for your business based on their mindset, right? Not just their muscle, not just what they can do, but how do they think about what they're going to do? And again, you don't want someone just like you who's independent entrepreneur, likely to leave. You need to find someone who wants to be part of a team, right? Follows a system, grows within a company, and contributes to the bigger mission. So let's look at here. And now we'll go over to the AI prompt itself. All right. And here's what we're going to ask it to do. Right? Come up with the questions, personality, and lastly, help you evaluate. So when we hit submit, And here's your lead carpenter process interview, right? And what I've done is I've taken that. So first we start off and put it here. So we have technical soft skill interview questions. So you want them to describe their experience. Maybe it's framing, rough carpentry. Again, you tailor this to how you do it. What's nice about AI is it can give you what they consider strong answers and vague answers, right? And you're writing down the answers and evaluating how the person's responding to you, right? So ask them something like, hey, walk me through how you prep a job site before your demo stage begins. Understand, like, are they mentioning things like, yeah, I want to make sure everything's protected, and I'm going to make sure that there's safety involved and that we're following the scope of work, right? If the person says, well, first thing I do is just grab the biggest hammer or the biggest sledgehammer and just start going to town, well, that might be a red flag if this is going to be like a lead carpenter, right? You want to ask them like, hey, specifically, how do you install cabinets, right? Especially when it's tricky. Or this is always a good question. Hey, how do you find your starting point for where you're going to install cabinets? What's the baseline that you're going to, your reference line, right? See if they say to you, well, first what I have to do is have to find the high spot and the low spot in the kitchen floor, right? It's because then I know I can always shim up, whereas it's much harder to trim down cabinetry, things like that. You want them to tell you about a time that a subcontractor maybe didn't show up and how did they handle it, right? Look for the person who goes through a good thought process and is going to be a good representative for your company, not someone who flies off the handle, right? How comfortable are they reading and interpreting floor plans, blueprints, things like that, right? What to do when a client changes their mind mid-project. What's your process? But first, understand how they initially think it through, right? Ultimately, your company will have a policy and a procedure for how that is handled, whether the lead carpenter can do it themselves or they need to get their project manager involved. All right, what do you do when a teammate isn't pulling their weight? This is going to be a good answer to see how emotionally mature they are, right? Do they try to direct it and handle it personally? Do you guys have a company policy where automatically, hey, this needs to be written up? We need to document it. We need to come up with a plan, things like that. These are all just good things to hear about their mindset, because they might share with you, hey, at my last company, if we had an issue, the first step was this, then the second step. And then you're like, good, this guy's on board. He knows what to do. Number 8, describe a time you had to fix someone else's poor workmanship. See what their attitude is about it. Are they all frustrated? Are they still pissed off today about something they had to fix 3 years ago? Or do they recognize that, hey, it's unfortunate, it's not what we want to do, but it is part of the process and it does happen in remodeling. And when it does come up, here's how I handle it, right? Again, you can see how the way they respond is going to be giving you good insight to what it's going to be like working with them down the road. I got an optional mini skills assessment. We can cover that at another time. If you guys need that, you can reach out and we'd be happy to discuss that later. But at the end of the day, I think this gets you pretty much set up. Let me get my, so I want to stop sharing. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Today was a short one. Hopefully you're enjoying your Sunday evening here, relaxing. I know for myself, I'm going to get out on that water and do a little paddle boarding here. The weather finally has cooperated. So wishing you all the best. Now look, today was day 12. We're doing 30 days total. So we got many more every day. We're going to be live. You can come learn a new prompt for how you can generate, so you have a system and a process to how to grow that remodeling business of yours. Because at the end of the day, you want to move. This is for those of you that want to earn more money, right? You need to be able to move out of being self-employed to running an actual business. And this is how you do it, one step at a time. It's a lot of steps, but you do them one at a time. So wish you all the best. Thanks for joining. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. You have a good one. Take care.